All right, joining us now, it's a little crossover pod here as we welcome to Amazin But True Jake Brown, Nelson Figueroa, Mark Luinu, and James Shiano from Mets'd Up, the official Mets podcast. Subscribe to their show, and you could check out their shows on the New York Mets YouTube page. We've had tea and crumpets, a few white claws together, a few claws and cranes at the Diddy in Astoria. Mark might hear me because he's like a couple of blocks from me right now at his apartment.
Real close.
James is a little further away. James, the only one without artwork in the back of him. No
Yeah.
Picasso photos or anything, but
I'm
Mark and
like
James.
right next to this wall too. It's not even room to make a background.
Welcome to New York City apartments. Welcome to the program. How are you guys?
Great. Thanks for having us on. Appreciate it.
Yeah, awesome. We finished our episode not too long ago and it's just buzzing from a great weekend of Mets baseball once again.
I got emotional when Mark Canna hit that homer. There were like
With
tears
emotions.
coming down my face. Like I was so hyped, lost my voice a little bit. Might have been singing the Mamma Mia last night too, as well. But it was that game and just Diaz putting us through the ringer for the first time since June 22nd. Just the roller coaster ride. Take us through it as two diehard Mets fans who do the Mets podcast.
Yeah, I mean, I was ready to get into a deep nap when the rain delay came across, and then Canna hit that home run, and I was just about to fall asleep. Gary woke me back up, and I was jacked up once that started happening. Like, this game was so exciting for the last like half of it. I mean, even the beginning was exciting too, but Mark Canna, I mean, that guy just put the team on his back offensively today. Gotta appreciate the veterans stepping up.
Longest 9 inning game of the year by 1 minute. And it was just so bizarre that game began at 1:30 and it ended as we were all like about to eat dinner. Ridiculous.
When it started pouring, I checked the weather figgy for Philadelphia hour by hour. It said rain stopping in 40 minutes. Went to the Shark Tank clips on YouTube, classic move, and then got back to the game. Just figgy. I mean, you've probably been in games like that, just back and forth roller coaster ride. Gene Segura, like a little baby back, you know what, throwing a bat in the air like they just won the World Series, only to be dismayed in the ninth inning. What a wild ride between two teams that you played for both.
Yeah, well, you know for a fact that Mark Canna is kind of that soft-spoken guy. He's not the guy that you expect to kind of answer back with any kind of flair, but he did. You didn't get to see it exactly because on the broadcast they show him hitting the ball and they're following the ball the whole time. He was holding the bat above his head the whole time and kind of just flipped it up in the air like that's how you bat flip somebody. And he's just been amazing. I said that last week when I talked about this Mets lineup and how deep they were. I said, yeah, once you get past those big guys in the middle, guess what? Mark Canna's at a deal with you. And he comes through in the clutch. He hits the ball all over the field. I was very excited to see him turn and burn on a couple of pitches inside. And that's where when you talk about scouting reports and how to get people out, you know what? You go to the well one time too often and guys make adjustments. That's what he did today. They kept trying to pound him in all series long. He decided, you know what? I'm going to take advantage of this. They tried to go in with some guys that had less than plus stuff. 94 miles an hour wasn't enough to get by him. Hits that first home run. Then the second one, of course, was the icing on the cake. But he got every single bit of that. It was a no doubter. And as he's rounding the bases, you could just feel the emotion. You saw Pete Alonso jumping out of the dugout. He's excited for him. And that's the one thing that I love about this team. It's not just the never say die attitude. It's the, you know what? If Pete can't get it done, the guy after him can get it done. And then when you think and you least expect, oh, Tomas Nido, he's not doing very well. Bam, he hits a double in the gap to kind of tie up a ball game. These are all the kind of little things that happen that create that championship atmosphere. And you never forget moments like this. So this will be part of that Mets greatest finishes in that yearbook. And there's just so much baseball left to play.
Also, a guy like Canna who's like so smart. We say all year how good of at bats this guy takes consistently. To let him see a reliever 2 days in a row is like, all right, he's gonna figure out a way next time you get him.
Yeah, it's not smart. And like it's been so nice too, because it seems like since they got Naquin, he's really like stepped up his game too, because he wasn't getting as much playing time. And now that he's getting back in the lineup consistently, he's just been crushing. He had such a good road trip that I mean he's played himself into way more playing time, I think, now.
Yeah, both those guys.
And think Canna, 2 years, 26 million around there. I mean, that's almost a bargain for this guy. He's got an OBP 100 points higher than his average. Remember, he started the season, he was like going to be George Brett. I mean, he was in like 400 the first month. Then he came back down to life. And he's doing it when his role has decreased here. I mean, some guys would complain, maybe not play the same, struggle a little bit, but not in his everyday role and still been great. And then the other storyline, I mean, we talked about it earlier in the show, Mark and James, but Nate Fisher. I mean,
Yeah.
from the bank, like
beast.
taking care of loans for people like me in 2015, taking out a loan to go to the playoffs, to being on a mound a year later. This story is remarkable, and it's another player in this 1-26 Mets mantra of just everybody contributing. Another wild storyline that's like impossible not to fall in love with.
It's so sick that he was able to come in and just make like an immediate impact for a guy who, like you said, was working in Omaha as like a creditor or whatever he was doing. He looked really good too. Like in a big situation, a guy who got up in the first inning and basically pitched until like the seventh. Like it's impressive. I love the way Nate Fisher pitched today.
Figgy, I don't know if there's something you can speak to from just experience of being a big league pitcher, but seeing him just kind of throw the entire kitchen sink at a Phillies lineup that probably had little to no tape on him whatsoever was kind of beautiful. He wasn't missing many bats. He didn't really get, I think, a 1 strikeout in the 3 innings versus 2 walks, but just like sliders and changeups and sinkers and all this crazy stuff back and forth just to keep him off balance.
Yeah. Sliders, changeup, and sinkers. Oh my, right? That's what you expect from him. He's not going to blow you away with a fastball. He's not going to be somebody that you're sitting there and scouting upon. So when he's called into action, and that's one of the hard things as a long reliever is that when that first starter goes out there and he's struggling a little bit, bam, they call you right away and you start getting loose, and you got to pace yourself now, because if he finds himself, he's going to be back out there the second inning. He walks the first 2, you're back up there again. You might not get in again. So you're pacing yourself constantly, because in that bullpen alone, you could throw 30 pitches to get ready that first time, another 30 to stay ready. Now you're 60 pitches deep of throwing and getting game ready. And then all of a sudden, finally, you get your chance. Now you're called upon to do 3 innings of work. So even though on paper, it may only been like 50, 60 pitches, it really is on the day over 100 pitches to get ready and prepare for that moment. And he made the most of it.
Even the pitches aside, like the time, he was warming up in the bullpen at about 1:45 in the afternoon. He threw his last pitch at almost 6 p.m. That's more than any baseball game almost the entire year.
That's something that he'll definitely remember, right, forever, just the way it happens. And I love the story because, again, someone like myself, I've been there. I've been with that, hey, I got to consider other options. This might not work out next year, but if I had the chance, like he said, he left the bank, sayonara, I'm out. And he went and signed with Seattle. And just to see where where this could possibly take him, it's very, very fitting to give himself an opportunity and another look, at least here with the Mets team that's dealing with a lot of injuries.
Figgy, I thought you were going to say I was a commercial credit analyst, and I've checked your LinkedIn. I didn't see the First National Bank of Weehawken, New Jersey, on your LinkedIn page. Figgy, did you go to do other jobs? I'm curious, actually. Did you when there were pauses in your career? Did you work at like Dick's Sporting Goods or anything?
No, nothing of that magnitude. I mean, I was able to do lessons to stay afloat and just kind of stay in the baseball element of things and train people and things like that, but never to I had to make a career change. I know the 4 years that I missed from surgery to when I came back and I made my debut with the Mets, it was a very long journey. And I think the year before I actually signed with the Mets, I started out in Mexico. Well, I actually started out in spring training with the Seattle Mariners as a side arming reliever. Got released with 2 days left of camp. I wound up going to Mexico, went back up top to be a starter. I threw 150 innings and 18 starts because I wanted to pitch every inning of every game to show that I was healthy. Nothing happened. I went to Taiwan after that, wound up pitching great in Taiwan, still nothing. I wound up going to Mexican winter ball, still nothing after that. December 28th, our season finished in Mexico. Next thing I know, I get a call from the Dominican. I go to Dominican, pitch in their playoffs and did very well. And then Ramon Pena, who was Omar Manaya's right-hand man out in the Dominican, he said to me, hey, are you with anybody in the States? I had just struck out 13 in a game in the playoffs. And I said, no, I'm not with anybody. He goes, let me call the Mets. And I said, I just talked to the Mets 2 weeks ago. They had a AA job, $4,000 for me, and I can't take that right now. And he said, well, let me talk to some people. Next thing I know, he calls me 2 days later, 10,000 AAA job and invite to big league camp. And I thought, I had to get pinched and everything else to see that it was actually true. And that gave me my opportunity. And 2 days into that, after that spring training, I get sent down. 2 days later, Pedro pops his groin and I'm back in the big leagues for the first time in 4 years. So yeah, although I didn't take a job, I took a journey. That's for sure.
I was hoping you were going to say you did flip cones at Carvel or something. That wasn't as fun as I would have hoped.
Switching to the sidearm reliever, that's good enough to take another job. That's that's on the bingo sheet for pitching trying to make it.
So that was a very scary thing because I'm trying out for the Seattle Mariners, and Pedro Grifol, who was their field coordinator, was my AA catcher with the Mets in Binghamton. So he calls me up. He says, hey, you're here in Arizona. Let's give you a look. So I go and I pitch. their pitching coordinator is standing in the box watching me throw, and I'm throwing 5 pitches for strikes, somewhat 3 arm angles. And he's just standing there, and I think he was being sarcastic, but he goes, "Hey, is that it?" And I'm like, no, I drop down sidearm too sometimes. And he's like, "Oh yeah, let me see that." He's standing in the box, and I'm like, I haven't done this since high school, so let me just try it. I crank it out a couple sidearm, I throw a couple sinkers, a couple sliders, even a split finger from down there. And he stands in there, he goes, "Man, I like that." And then he calls me in the office and he says, "Hey, I want you to stick with this for a little while. Let's see how it goes."
That's ridiculous. That's a funny story.
Yeah.
We're here with the Mets'd Up guys. Mark Luino, follow him on Twitter at GiraffeNeckMark. Check out his YouTube as well. And James Shiano at James_Shiano. Subway Series, guys.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we're 4.5 games better than the Yankees right now. I mean, this is unbelievable. Weather permitting. We'll see if Monday happens. There's rain in the forecast, but I feel like the weather reporters have been wrong a lot lately. So I'm not going to trust the 70% chance of rain at 7 p.m. We'll see what happens day of. But how are you guys feeling right now going into part 2 of the Subway Series? You're 4.5 games better. You're 4 games above the Braves right now. Is this like it's been a whirlwind ride of emotion since the trade deadline alone and all season? What's the feel right now? And how much do you like the Subway Series? Because there are people who don't like it. I'm in love with it.
Yeah, I mean, I love it too. I'm just such a Yankee hater that it's something that I enjoy because I feel like the Mets, especially recently, have had some decent success, but we couldn't have caught the Yankees at a better time. They're playing like the worst baseball, I think, in all of baseball. I think I saw something with their record in the month of August, and it was them, the Marlins, the A's, the Nationals, like not a lot of teams you necessarily want to be associated with. And the Yankees are kind of the outlier, but they're playing bad baseball. We have Scherzer on the mound. Hopefully we have DeGrom or Taiwan, whichever one's going to end up pitching. Like I like our odds a lot. We're playing good baseball. This should be a fun series for Mets fans, I think.
You also think back 6 weeks ago to when we had the first bout of this Subway Series in Citi Field, and that kind of ignited the Mets hot streak that sustained all the way through the end of July and just basically kept the second half rolling because we had those 2 losses to the Padres. Then you beat them. And right after that was that Yankee series. And after that was those 2 wonderful series against the Marlins and the Nationals that coincide with Jacob deGrom's return. And it just, the Mets have kind of been going from there. So I'm excited to get this Yankee team again. It seems like this Mets team is a team that gets up for big games. They like having the emotion. They like feeling the energy. And I think that there's going to be lots of it in Yankee Stadium this week, whether it be negative or positive based on which fan base has more of a foothold.
Yeah, and just like you said, with the Mets starting to steamroll from that experience, the Yankees were reeling ever since that the Mets kind of exposed, some weaknesses, some bunch of strikeouts against Aaron Judge. How to avoid the rest of the lineup not being on for Aaron Judge. If he hits a solo shot, so what?
Yeah.
You know what? They're going to have to find a way to score more runs in the next 3 innings until he comes back up again. And I think the rest of baseball has taken a lot of notes on that and been able to capitalize on the Yankees, especially missing some key members in that lineup. But for the Mets, this is exactly what you're hoping for. You're going to have your 2 horses on the mound, and not just that, but in that playoff atmosphere in the visitors park to kind of be able to get used to that feeling. Because these are the guys that you're going to need to carry you through the postseason. So it'll be a very good check exactly of not just are they as advertised? We know that for sure, but I want to see, when push comes to shove, because Scherzer gave up a little bit of runs there after the rain delay and wanting to be Scherzer and pitch no matter what. But I want to see him with the Yankee fans all in his ear and see how far he can push himself. And then, of course, I want to see Jacob, but I'll take Taijuan Walker right there because I think if you had a chance to kind of split those guys and be able to get a guy in there to steal a win, and then you have Jacob coming after that in a 4-game series, I think that's a much better scenario for those guys.
I'm excited to hopefully hear some "Let's Go Mets" chants in Yankee Stadium because they're getting the boo birds out right now. Like there's a good chance that the Mets fan base can take over that stadium like that, especially if it starts going bad early.
That's another thing, right? They did it the last few road trips, the Mets fans, and it's not even been the 7 line.
No,
it's just people. And one of the players said it today. It's like they are so appreciative of every single stadium they go to on the road that there's such a massive contingency of Mets fans. It's basically been every series the second half, because if I think back, Miami, there were mostly Mets fans there. Washington, especially the Jake Day, mostly Mets fans there. Atlanta, there was a smattering of Mets fans, but it was definitely mostly Atlanta fans. But even this weekend in Philadelphia, it seemed like we were kind of taking over that ballpark. Yeah. What amazing fan base we have here. We can do these things.
You want to talk about taking over the ballpark? They had a Mets fan throw out the first pitch in Philadelphia. I mean, I think Andrew's name, the general, the 7-line Army general, threw out the freaking first pitch, and I wouldn't, if I was a Phillies fan, I'd be kind of mad at that. Yeah, they got 1,500 tickets. You couldn't sell those tickets. You had to because like this whole story is bizarre to me. You guys saw that.
Yeah, I would not be particularly pleased if I saw a Philly fan come out and throw a first pitch at Citi Field. I'd be like, how is this the choice? There was nobody else. Like, do you not know anyone? Like, that is awesome though, to go into your rival stadium and throw out the first pitch. That's a big move.
Yeah, 50 Cent. I would rather see 50 Cent right-handed than that, right?
Yeah.
You couldn't get like Bobby Cheesesteak from Philly, like to throw out the first pitch. Like, how the hell did that? Like, who approved that? That is wild to me. We'll take it, but the Mets are just taking over opposing ballparks, and they're going to take over. Are you guys going on both or one of the two?
I think I'll definitely be there Tuesday. Monday still up in the air. That's gonna be a game time decision, especially with this rain. Like, I'm not spending that money. I know you'll get it back, but like, we'll see how it goes with the rain.
I think it would get moved to Wednesday, probably an afternoon game because the Yankees travel to Oakland.
I'd almost be more interested in that.
Me too, but that's a little harder for some of us that have to, work jobs.
Have work, yeah. Mark's gonna be doing videos.
Exactly.
Over there. It's interesting because you're going, James, to one or both?
I'm gonna try to go to one. Tuesday night is what I have circled right now, especially if Jake pitches. We're trying to, work our end, see if we can get some tickets rather than buy the $200 tickets that are available online right now. But we'll see how the week goes.
All right. Well, I will be there. We'll have to have some tea and crumpets at the old Billy's and Stands. I will say I do like that awesome. They have bars to go to there. Like it is a fun time where Citi Field we don't have yet.
Not yet.
Not yet. Get those bars. I've had enough hubcaps and tires in my life that I get outside the stadium.
Yeah, you might need a muffler. You never know.
Well, I've told the story. I got a tire on one of those things, and it was like prostitutes for tires. They were like, come to me. And then there were an absurd amount of black cats. And I thought this was like the 69 World Series all over again. There were black cats running through my legs as I went to get my friend's car a new tire because I got a flat tire on the way to get him a car wash. So that's the last time I do that. We're here with the host of Mets'd Up, the official Mets podcast with the Mets. Get them on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get podcasts. Busy week in Mets land. We also got Old Timers Day Saturday. Me and Fig, you'll be doing Amazing But True after the game at Ebbs. Old Timers Day, a lot of guys. I want to go through some of the guys with you and see what players you guys are most excited to see. Starting off with managers, I think it's a pretty obvious list. No Davey on the invite list, but Terry, Joe Torre, Willie Randolph, Bobby Valentine. That was pretty simple. Catchers was interesting to me because you got Piazza, obviously. Yeah. Hudley, obviously. Pratt, obviously. We'll see if he causes any trouble when he gets there. If you follow him on Twitter, he is a whirlwind of emotions. You could check that out if you'd like. John Stearns as well. And then Josh Tolley. I mean, I get that he caught crazy. Johan, but I was a little mad that he's on the list because he was just so bad offensively. So hard to watch. What do you guys think of the catchers?
Yeah, I mean, like Piazza's the obvious one. That was my guy growing up. So anytime I get to watch him, suit up and play a baseball game, even if it's absolutely meaningless, I'm completely in. But yeah, Josh Tolley was the name that you go, okay. Josh Tolley's on the Old Timers Day roster. You know what? They probably need a young guy to catch because let's be honest.
That's exactly it.
I don't think John Stearns is going to be catching very much in this game.
He will.
I don't know how many innings do they even play in Old Timers Day?
Yeah, I think that's up for debate. I think that's let's see who's still able to get through this thing.
Yeah.
We do it in fantasy camp, right? So Stearns, Pratt will catch. They have always done that.
Okay.
Yeah, Stearns is usually the opening catcher. So if Doc is throwing out the first one, then Stearns will catch him.
Gotcha.
So that's usually how it has been. Stearns has been dealing with some issues, with health issues over the last 2 years. I haven't seen him since, but Stearns would catch Doc, and then you would have Tolley just joined us in fantasy camp this year, and he's only 34 years old.
Yeah.
I was like, you can't be even at an Old Timers game, but he still has sound knees, and I guess he's going to be able to do at least mop-up duty for catchers. He's basically the me of catchers. He's just going to make sure that they
are you the Jeff Passan of Mets Old Timers Day? I mean,
you're breaking all the news.
No, but that
in the second inning, you come in on this pitch.
No, it's just what we've done at fantasy camp, and I know who's an able body and who's not going to be an able body. So the other guys are ceremoniously will be there. I don't think Piazza's. You know what? I don't think Piazza's put on a catcher's gear since he's retired.
And he wanted to catch the last few years of his career.
The first time you put on the gear after you've kind of, let everything go the way, nature intended, it doesn't look as cool as it used to. So I don't see him doing that.
All right, let's go to the infielders here. You have Fonzie. Now, Fonzie is your manager, the Ferry Hawks Figgy. Is he playing? And we've discovered that you guys are the same age, which made you feel like a
Crazy.
very old man. But is he going to play?
No, it made me feel like a spring chicken. Are you kidding me? I feel so young now. Here, he is going to play. He is a little limited. He had knee surgery back in February, so he's limited in his range of motion. But I think what you're going to see is probably about 37 first basemen. Or just they're going to have to really rely on analytics of the old timers game and play the shift and let it hit it right at them.
I'm excited as we go through this list, guys, and I'll let you guys respond to this. Fonzie Backman, Rico Bronya, Kevin Elster, Keith Hernandez will be fun. Hojo, Ray Knight, Ed Kranepool, Felix Millan, Rafael Santana, Tim Tuffle, and then guys of our elk, James and Mark, our age group, 20s, 30s. What are we, Gen Z? What are we, millennials? What are we?
I think you're a millennial. We might be.
Yeah.
Wow.
Gen Z. All
I
right.
remember
We're on the edge. I mean, I didn't have MySpace. Did you have a MySpace?
I didn't, no. But
Okay.
everyone
Oh.
my age
MySpace
did.
wasn't a dating app. That's why he didn't have it.
Here we go.
He would've had it.
No longer on dating apps. They're all deleted. So I'm living my
Whoa.
best
Breaking news.
natural life. Breaking news here on the pod. We'll see if I ever get back on again. But the guys I'm excited to see are Reyes, Murphy, our current guys, and not really excited to Todd Zeal, but Murphy, Reyes, I think will be fun to see. But what do you guys think of the infielders?
Yeah, Murphy and Reyes were the two immediate guys, and Robin Ventura too, just because like that early 2000s of the Mets is like something that sticks with me a lot. James likes to laugh, and he's like, "You don't remember the 2000 World Series," but I remember the team. I remember players.
Mark's a liar.
I was 9. You were like 6.
He was 4 years old.
Yeah, you remember plenty of
Wow.
things. We're gonna do that. I'm gonna go through the entire roster one day. But
No, 'cause you do all your Sporkle stuff. So that's not even gonna hold. That's not gonna bear any truth to what you actually
I
remember
know
from
it
your
all.
your childhood.
But I'm
You were a toddler.
I was 4. I could throw a baseball over the mountains. Don't worry about it.
Uncle Rico over
I
here.
can't believe you guys are talking about infielders and we haven't mentioned Ed Kranepool, the forever Met. Ed
Oh,
Kranepool is getting this is his due. This old timers day is like
Yes.
80% about Ed Kranepool here. Still holding a lot of these old time Mets records
mhm.
as a Met when he was a teenager back in 1962. He's the Don LaGreca rant about Ed Kranepool. We played on the podcast as much as we can at this point. And so it's just
Classic.
it's one of the all timers. This day is for Ed. I'm very happy Ed Kranepool is going to get a fantastic ovation from the Citi Field faithful.
For sure.
Yeah, I think management ownership has learned their lesson about not giving people their flowers while they're alive, because the statue was finally brought to life. And it was unfortunately, a year too short. I think that's the biggest thing, is that you don't want these guys feeling like you didn't care. It's not even them, it's about the fans. It's right. So it should be about the fans. I know it's their money and it's their ballpark and they want to do it the way they want to do it, but man, it's such a bad look on the Wilpons as far as fan base for all the things that they didn't do. I was talking about it with Cleon Jones when we talked to Jones about how with this new stadium, and they did the rotunda based on the Brooklyn Dodgers and Jackie Robinson, and that's great. But you know what? On the outside, those neon lights of Shea Stadium, how could you not do that around the whole ballpark? You had more surface area now to cover. How can you not have great Mets moments and have them kind of that animated neon? So like you could see the play in action still being in neon. So Andy Chavez's catch, Cleon Jones catching that last, holding it above his head and then bringing it all the way down. Orozco throwing up the glove and the glove going up in neon lights, that kind of thing. How can you not have those great moments just around the ballpark so that, as you're bringing in your son, your daughter, your grandson, you can point to them and tell them exactly what that was about. Then they can YouTube it and see it in action and really feel a part of Mets history. Like those great moments that stick out for us, they have no idea. But if you make it a neon sign and they have to ask about it, boom, let them find out through YouTube what it was actually like, and they'll be able to enjoy it as well.
I'm all for the neon coming back. The neon is like, I feel like anybody who's a Mets fan, that's ingrained in your memory.
Yeah, shout out to Athletes Logo. They do a great job, and he has one of Andy Chavez as like a lamp, that you would want to have in your bedroom. Just have it up on the wall. You could see Andy Chavez doing that all night long, and I think that's one of the great things, right? The iconic moments. You have the David Wright fist pump against the Nationals when they, took that lead and came back in that game when Cespedes, helped them take over, and that fist pump over home plate. You could have that kind of moment. All those different things, because I mean, yes, it's money, but since our new owner has money, the experience as a fan would be so enhanced, and you would come out of there wanting to know more about the history of this team, wanting to know more about the ups and downs of this team. 2 championships, and we all sit here with bated breath at what could possibly be next. And I think you have to know where you came from to appreciate where we're going.
Yeah, I think that's the beauty of all these shows that we do. Like, there's so much that has gone into like Mets fandom, even over a lifetime of us 3 spring chickens over here. The last 20 years of the Mets are some of the craziest of any sports team that you could even conceive in the history of the world. And it's just very nice to see a lot of these guys come back and get their due, especially a guy like Andy Chavez, who's actually doing fantastic things in the organization as a coach right now, down in the he's in the FCL, correct?
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah, the team's apparently like making waves, and it's very cool to see a player who I personally like loved as a child. I just loved his game. Great fielder, great base runner, just one of these like sneaky athlete guys. See him still make an impact in the organization and come back for his flowers.
And I think, as we look at the outfielders now, you brought that up. I think it's so cool for us in the prime of our fanhood of this special season, and why I think the 3 of us are soaking it in as much. We're a part of it, doing these podcasts, covering this team, being at the stadium every day. It's like a magical experience, and seeing, regular season wins to us are huge. Like, this kind of win is like a World Series win to us, where like to the Yankees, it would be nothing. So we're kind of just enjoying this ride and this day-to-day roller coaster, and how many magical wins, against Philly alone, the 2 comebacks and a freaking no-hitter against one team, 14-5 against the Phillies, the most they've had against them in franchise history. Other one was 2015, where they also made the World Series. So every day has been like a parade for us.
But that Phillies team in 2015 was horrific. They were one of the worst teams in all of baseball. This is a borderline playoff team. Like, if Phillies didn't have to play the Mets this year, you'd be talking about them as like the class of the National League. So, like,
you excluded their defense, period.
Here we go with the defense. It's their bullpen, bro. I don't care about the defense. Hey, Keith got all the all the hate about the talking about the defense. I'm not talking about the defense. I'll talk about their bullpens on blue in the face. That bullpen is horrific.
Really helped us out this series, which was nice.
Yes.
Yeah, the defense is worse. I'm excited to see Benny Agbayani, one of the outfielders. I loved Benny. I always tell the story that I was listening on a Walkman at my brother's marching band show when he hit the homer against the Giants in Game 3, or I was on a portable TV and they were doing the awards and I was under the bleachers yelling, and they were like, "Who is this kid yelling?" It was me yelling about Benny Agbayani's home run. Andy, I'm excited. Cliff Floyd's knees have like broken down a little bit, but I'm sure he'll play a little bit, maybe an inning. And Steve Henderson, Cleon Jones, who we just had on the podcast, Lee Mazzilli, who a friend of the show, Kevin Mitchell, Jay Payton, another one I'm pumped for.
Wow.
I had his jersey back in the day. Might still fit me with my fat boy XL Jake 9-year-old. It might be an XL. Art Shamsky, Darryl Strawberry. Strawberry will not play, but will be there. Friend of the program, Ron Swoboda, who will talk your ear off about any topic imaginable, including like tuna fish and Chinese food to us once. Frank Thomas and Mookie Wilson, who said he's excited to play and is in shape. Also a minister or ordains your wedding, I should say. Carol is like the minister, so maybe he'll ordain a wedding. But guys, I'm excited about this outfield list.
Yeah, Benny Agbayani is a guy that's like one of those cult hero classics of the Mets world, where it's like small time with them, but everybody remembers Benny Agbayani. I'm also really excited about Jay Payton, like you too, Jake. And then Art Shamsky, just because that's a name that I feel like I've heard forever. It feels like everybody from like, that time period always brings up Art Shamsky. And he just has one of the more cool baseball stats ever, where he hit 4 home runs in 4 consecutive at bats, and he pinch hit in both of those games. So there's a fun little fact for you.
I like that a couple guys from this outfield list. First of all, Lee Mazzilli, local kid, former heartthrob. My mom still talks about Lee Mazzilli back.
Everybody's mom does. Yeah, Jake's mom. Watch this.
My mom tutored him in high school. I don't know if he was the brightest guy. What's the tool in the shed? What's
sharpest tool in the shed. Brightest crayon over here.
It'll be cool to get him there, local kid, and then 2 guys who had somewhat unceremonious exits from the Mets who were great players, helped them win World Series, Cleon Jones and Kevin Mitchell. Very cool to see them come back and the team accept them with open arms, because the way they left the organization was kind of bizarre when it happened. This list is also funny because like a lot of these guys had shorter stints with the Mets than, maybe some of the infielders that we were looking at. Yeah. Looking at a lot of like 3 years, 4 years, 5 years on the team, some of these guys. Probably kind of funny.
And then finally, Figgy pitchers, Bartolo I think you just spoke to him. I couldn't hear it because it was in Spanish, and I just you could maybe translate for me. But Bartolo, I guess he's been pitching, so he might be one of the first pitchers that comes out there.
Listen, Bartolo can still pitch. Wait, am I older than him? I gotta check that
For
too.
sure.
I'm somewhere older than him, or right around his age. But
his listed age.
His listed age is that
he's 49, so he's May 24th of 73. So he's got, I forget when your birthday is.
18th.
So he's a year older.
He's a year older than me. But yeah, no, Bartolo's ready to go. He's good to go. I thought Cespedes was in this thing, isn't he?
He was originally.
I don't
think.
see his name.
He was. Remember, he was
list.
originally in it. I remember because they announced Bartolo and Cespedes together on that same day. So interesting. That I think you can't put Cespedes in this thing. He would kill people.
You can't put him on the same field as Ed Kranepool.
He still has 110 exit velocity. Come on, man. That had to be like hey, you know what? You need to be like not have played in a game in the last 6 years, or have some kind of restraint from trying to kill everyone involved.
Small piece of me would like to see Cespedes step in the box against Billy Wagner. I feel like Billy Wagner can still bring the heat. He's my pick here to definitely throw the hardest ball in this game. I really hope it's Josh Tolley catching Billy Wagner instead of John Stearns, for example. But a lot of these pitchers, I think, will be funny to see. I know McDowell's going to come out there and try to throw Chad, do everything he can. Pat Mahomes is a really cool and hilarious inclusion on this list. That'd be kind of cool if I'm sure he's not going to come. Season's like in 2 weeks, but it'd be cool if Patrick Mahomes Jr. was there. But then we got Franco, another local guy, Sid Fernandez, Darling. I didn't even know Darling was on this list. That's pretty cool.
Oh yeah. No, there's some names on this one. I think the funniest one's Mike Hampton, just because of how he left.
Yeah, but we were talking about before, right? If Mike Hampton doesn't leave, we'd never get David Wright, who is not on the list. However, I do think this is going to be one of those, secret things where he pops up out of nowhere.
Here comes
and
Jeff passing Figueroa again.
No, I just do. I just think there's two people that I think that if you had a chance to do it to like really excite the fan base about this whole thing, out of nowhere, like the bullpen door will open and Wild Thing will start playing, but it's going to be Lenny Dykstra running out to center field, smoking a cigarette the whole time.
Lenny announced that he was going to be the Old Timers Day, and apparently there was no reciprocation.
Right. So this is where I'm saying I think he might have let the cat out the bag a little bit. I think they're trying to keep it under wraps. But the same thing with David Wright, right? Or either or Lenny's just going to show up on his own and crash the party. I mean,
that's I think is going to happen. That's going to be uncomfortable for everyone.
I would say have video outside, because he's going to be the guy trying to bang down the gate to get in, and maybe my girl Gina at the security will have to not let him in, or someone at one of the gates is
he's going to streak right across the field.
It's the Eric Andre meme.
He famously did that to the Barstool office a couple of years ago because he was doing some kind of work with them. And then they were like, "This guy's a bit of a loose cannon. Maybe we should stop." And allegedly one day he just showed up, and they were like,
"No, you're not here anymore."
Lenny still owes me $20 for a taxi, and he showed up to the studio. Because I had him in studio on my podcast with CBS, and he brought his trading card because he lost his ID. So he had his Mets and his Phillies upper deck cards to check into the WFAN building with security. And luckily the security knew him. He's like, "Oh, baseball player." I'm like, "Yeah." He showed him the two cards. Like, "All right, you're good." It's the first time that's ever happened.
He's coming in again. That's exactly how he's coming in again. You know that, right?
Oh, it's a lock.
So I know, but I do think that something's going to happen where David's going to show up. There's no way that an old timers game, although David doesn't want to. I don't think he wants to be called an old timer.
I think the scar is a little too still like new.
Has he touched 40 yet?
I don't know. I don't think
probably
so.
not.
Look that up real quick.
He's 39, turns 40 in December.
So that's the thing. I don't think he wants to do it before 40.
I feel like he would be such a huge draw too that they would probably announce him, because that would probably get like a few more people there. But I like the idea that there could be someone sneaky that appears. I don't know if he'll be as big as David Wright. That would be my only. Who could it be though? I mean, that's like the one that makes the most sense.
We'll take him over Lenny. Like, I think more fans will take David Wright over Lenny Dykstra. Pat Mahomes, what is his nickname? Black Cowboy Figgy?
The Black Cowboy.
Black Cowboy. So he'll be there. Doc, who broke the news to us that he would, I think, start. So we'll see how he's doing. John Franco's an interesting name. Then there's some randoms. I mean, Ken McKenzie, Ed Lynch, I think, ended the show of a voicemail for us. about his excitement. Johan, I'm excited to see.
Yeah.
And, if Steve Traxel comes in, the Mets-Rockies game's not starting until 10 p.m. I mean, that's
Yeah.
human rain delay. Let's hope there's not actual rain in the forecast on Saturday, but it'll be a late start if he pitches. But looking forward to seeing him as well. Figgy, we were with him in the suite. I think he runs like a brewery in California.
Yeah, he was. I was right before COVID. And then, or right after COVID, it kind of shut down and he had his wine, but he didn't have the brewery anymore. So we'll be interesting to catch up and see where all that is at now.
Turk Wendell as well. I texted Glendon Rush today. I said, looking forward to finally meeting him in person. We've had him on a few shows. He'll be there. So we'll see the old. Nice. I mean, had a nice year in 2000. Underrated Met. We didn't blow anyone away, but had a solid season. So looking forward to that. Well, James, Mark, great to catch up. End of the year here. Let's look ahead. We'll close with this. Is this a World Series championship team? Will they beat the Dodgers in the playoffs? Go.
That's a crazy question.
On the spot here, man. Really trying to throw it. I think they are a World Series caliber team. I think they can beat the Dodgers as long as I think if they play the baseball that they have been playing. I mean, Dodgers are also really, really good, so it's tough. But I really do think Scherzer, DeGrom, all these guys, we have our team like we've been playing. They can beat anybody in baseball.
Yeah, you just got to stay healthy, stick with the fundamentals. The Dodgers did just get Dustin May back, and he looks like he's going to be a massive piece of their postseason rotation. It's really just we got to focus on holding off the Braves. You got to avoid that wild card round. You got to get one of these 2 buys. I don't want to play the Padres. I don't want to play the Phillies. I don't want to play any of these teams in the best of 3 because best of 3 is very dangerous for any good team. Let the Braves burn all their pitchers, walk to the next round, play the Cardinals, then figure it out.
Yep.
Well, Sunday's Mets win, guys, was absolute scenes as your guest, UK Mets NYC. Darren came on. So you guys could check out the Mets'd Up podcast on the Mets YouTube or wherever you get your podcast. Follow Mark Luino at Giraffe Neck Mark, James Schiano at James_Schiano. Fun little crossover, guys.
Oh, yeah.
I'll see you at the ballparks this week. And thanks for coming on Amazin But True.
Thanks for having us on. We'll see you around.
Thank you,
Take
guys.
care,
Good
boys.
to see you.
Cheers.
Good to see you.